Right now, global energy markets are already reacting to the Iran war. So the real question is not if there will be consequences, but how severe they will be for Europe. Today, I'm joined by Thierry Laurent-Pellet, a French entrepreneur, author, and geopolitical commentator with extensive international experience, having lived and worked in countries like the United States, Australia, and Ukraine. Through his first-hand experiences and writings, he focuses on global power dynamics, energy, and the shifting balance between the West and emerging multipolar systems. Theory brings a perspective shaped not just by analysis, but by direct exposure to geopolitical events on the ground. So, Thierry, welcome, and great to have you here.
Thank you very much for getting me online within your show, Johnny. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. Did I have the information correct about
Yes.
your personal history? You have also lived in Russia or no?
Well, it depends on if you are considering Crimea as part of Russia or not. And I do believe on my perspective point of view, I would say yes. And especially regarding, in fact, the dynamic that is developed within the conflict, we have been understanding that what we call Novorossiya, which is constituted of the different oblasts in the south of Ukraine, will be reattached to Russia, which is like, on a historical point of view, kind of logic, on a cultural, on the personal, economical point of view too. If we are looking at the wishes of those population within those places, the only thing that they want is to be reattached by Russia, and this is the reason why within the referendum that was organized in 2023, they have been pronunciating themselves as part of Russian world.
Yes.
Actually, if we are taking some distance out of the different events that are developing right now, we need to understand what will be the consequences of this Iran war between Israel, United States, and Iran in the global context. Because if we are siloting the different events, we will see that there will be some problem, in fact, to explain the global picture. So before to go into detail, I would like to draw the picture of the different energy source in the world.
Yes.
We have the Middle East, which is a major producer. Within the Middle East, we have Saudi Arabia, that is the number one, and number two is Iran. The second biggest source of energy is Russia. And the third one, which is even the bigger, if we are considering, in fact, the Northern America, is US and Canada. For the last 4 years, the energy source coming from Russia were constrained by sanctions. On top of it, the European Union tried, in fact, to play around and to leverage the capacity of Russia to finance the state with their energy source by putting a veto on getting those resources, which was a major mistake, because as much as they would be able, in fact, to redirect their supply from Qatar, it is not enough. There are contention in the world, especially on the GLN point of view. United States is using methane, meaning like gas tanker carrier. But it's not enough too. The needs of European Union is about 450 billion meter cube linear per year. If you go to Bruegel.com today and you're observing what is the supply about in Europe, it's a disaster. We are the lowest level for the last 4 years. And on top of it, because the winter was quite tough, the gas consumptions was enormous. Don't forget one thing is that today, the one that are providing the gas for Ukraine is European Union by reversing the flow from the different sources that allows them, in fact, to be supplied. But Ukraine is a very particular country because the winter is very long. It starts in October and it ends up end of April. I remember when I was living in Kiev, seeing snowstorm at the end of April, beginning of May, absolutely gigantic. The last year I was living in Ukraine, in my street, there was in 36 hours, there's been falling about 1.3 meter of snow. It's enormous. So we have been understanding that Israel, through Netanyahu, that is confusing its own juridical situation with the state, have been deciding, in fact, to annex most of the piece of lands that are around Israel for comfortable buffer zone security, whatsoever geopolitics he has in mind. And he has been conducting a massive war against its neighbor, especially in the Gaza Strip, that led to the situation when they have been deciding to attack Iran. On a geopolitical point of view, if we are looking at this event, we might be understanding different things. First of all, Israel wants to be the big fish in the pond in the region. And Iran, being constituted of 95 million people with a very special intellect, because they have the capacity on the mathematical and the physics point of view, in fact, to build very specific weapon. I have been actually attending in Odessa, it was in 2006, to the Olympics of mathematics because members of my team have been applying for this competition. It's a worldwide competition. The number 3 nation within the Olympics of mathematics was Russia, China, Iran. France has been ending at the bottom of the ranking. Number 4 was Ukraine, actually, very surprising. So basically, Israel consider a threat on the military point of view as much on the economical point of view defined by Iran. And that is certainly one of the reasons why they have been deciding, in fact, to attack them. The second reason is a personal reason on the Netanyahu point of view, because he knows that if wars are ending, he will end in jail. So basically, he's putting this process together, and he has been blackmailing Donald Trump to push him and to force him to participate to the eradication of the nuclear facilities that has been developed in Iran. Trump made a gigantic mistake.
Yes.
He was thinking that Iran was kind of like Colombia, with a level of corruption that has been helping the CIA to put all the processes together to lock up the president, to expel it, and to put in place a mechanism to control the new government. Maduro.
You mean Colombia or Venezuela?
Venezuela. Why I say the Colombia? Sorry, but Colombia might be the next target too. Okay, because
and also Cuba.
Well, this is. I do believe that Cuba is sort of diversion, because it's not the big problem of United States. It's a small island living in 1956, and the level of their economy is a disaster. So basically, I do not believe that this is a threat to United States. It is pretty much like, look, I am defining what is my pound. I am redefining the borders, and nobody can mess up with my new borders. Extrapolating the concept of border, we should look at what is beneath these kind of things. And I do believe that the main topic is the control of energy, and especially in Iran. And I'm going to explain you why. Iran is part of the BRICS. It's a new member. And China has been putting together a new corridor for the Belt and Road Initiative, which is going through Iran, in fact, to fulfill the needs of Africa. So basically, this connection will be allowing China to get all the necessary supply on the gas as much on the oil point of view. And this hub would help China to penetrate new market in Africa. So basically, Trump saw here an opportunity to break on the Chinese economy, and in the same time, a way to control the oil that might be beneficial, in fact, its own market. But that was a very, very bad idea. And let's look at it right now on a financial point of view. So basically, the two platforms providing energy today are constrained. Russia and the Middle East. Who is remaining? United States. So basically, people that want to buy the oil or the gas in United States, they need to convert their own currency into dollar, which made the dollar appreciated. If the dollar is very strong, what is happening? You are going against the new doctrine of Donald Trump that want to reshore its industry. Reshoring the industry, that means having a weak currency in the way that you can export. If your currency is too high, what's happening? You cannot export. And on top of it, this has been scaring loads of countries that are running away even faster from the dollar currency because this is apprehended and measured as a threat. So, if the barrel is between 66 and let's say 80, that is okay for United States because the Permian Basin in the South Texas is helping, in fact, the economy, but its extraction costs $66. So below this, it doesn't make sense to extract the oil because you will be selling it at a loss. So between 66 and 80, this is pretty much okay, not above. There is also a problem of refinery. In United States, they are setting up. They have been setting up refineries that are able, in fact, to refine very heavy crude, like the one in Venezuela, but not the one in the Permian Basin. So they prefer to sell it at a very high stake, because depending on the price of the market, the margin is higher, than in fact using it on the local market. And they buy heavy crude on the market, which is much lower, and therefore the profit is much better for them. Now, what is happening? You are constraining, in fact, the two sources in the world. Due to the high demands, the price is climbing, like skyrocketing. And this is going to be a major break to the US economy. Because today, if we are looking at the broad picture on the financial point of view, what are we observing? We're observing that the level of debt on the federal point of view is enormous due to the economical context and the geopolitical context. What we're observing is that the interest rate on the market are climbing. If the interest rates are climbing due to the situation, United States cannot refinance its own debt. you cannot refinance your own debt. What's happening? You cannot reimburse it. And when your debt represents about 125% of your GDP, you have a very serious problem. On top of it, we know that a war is costing a lot of money. Today, the United States is obliged to reimburse $1.2 trillion every year in interest. And Trump is asking the Senate, in fact, to add on top of it a new budget for the army of $200 billion to fulfill the needs of this war. I don't think the Senate is going to accept it. If we look at the average consumer in the United States, and especially by putting the situation under microscope, the private equity today is causing major problem. We have the major funds that are providing the necessary financial instruments for the people that want to consume, that have been locking up the procedure of redemption. I don't know if you are familiar with this procedure. I am going to explain it a little bit. The redemption is about to allow your investors to get back their funds. So basically, if you're a family office and you have a lot of money, you're going to go to KKR, you're going to go to Apollo, you're going to go to Blackstones. You're going to give your money and say, I expect a return on investment of 8-10% a year. So basically what is happening right now is that if you want major funds of this kind to give you back your money, that is not going to be possible because they have been locking up this procedure. And they have been locking up for 3 years. Last news this weekend, Apollo received a demand from one of its customers to reimburse $1 billion. Apollo is managing $1.2 trillion in assets. If managing $1.2 trillion, you cannot reimburse $1 billion, imagine what is in the back end of this story. This is smelling very bad. We are in conjunctions of crises right now. One of them is a financial crisis. This is the configuration in which we are living is 2008, but we have a level of debt that is way above what was the situation down the line in 2008. So basically, the reason why it has been happening without any control is the following. The banks, after 2008, in the United States, were under the control of the Federal Bank and the Security Exchange Commission. If they wanted to lend money, they had to put a collateral within the Federal Bank in a sort of vault, which was a security in case of exposition. So basically, what the markets have been deciding, all the private equity funds decided to substitute themselves to the bank. So basically, they have been putting together organization for AWE, for BNPL, which are mechanisms to lend the money without any control to the consumer in advance of their salary. But they did it in a scale that is really scary. And on top of it, they didn't have the constraint to record what the consumer were asking for. So basically, consumers, they have been, abusing this mechanism. For the same loan, they were asking for different companies the same amount of money. But at the end of the story, they had, in fact, to reimburse. If you are leveraging a lump sum, and the same lump sum, and a third time, and the fourth time to different organizations, at a point in time, you're going to do like a cavalry mechanism. You reimburse a little bit this month, the first lender, then the second one the month after, and so on. And this bubble represents today around $3 trillion. So during the 2008 crisis, the bubble exposition to the MBS was about 800 billion. We are 3-4 times. So the situation on the financial point of view in the United States is a disaster. And on top of it, we're getting a constraint of oil on the US market, on every market, in fact. The price skyrocketing that makes the consumer completely constrained. And that is the reason why in 2008, everything has been exploding. Because at a point in time, consumer, they had to choose. I need to go to work, so I need to feed my car because the barrel is $140, 42 actually. Or I need to reimburse the loan I have been subscribing for my house through a subprime mechanism without any control, without any down payment, which make me a target for bankruptcy. We are in the same situation today. But it's even worse. Why? Because as much as the oil price is still, between quote, below the 2008 level, we should expect this level to climb up way above what was it in 2008. And this is triggering another problem because at that time, there was no constraint on the supply point of view. There were plenty of suppliers. Today is different. And what we're observing now is loads of countries that are putting a lockdown on the distribution. If you want, let's take a very small example. You want to make processors. So you go to TSMC in Taiwan and you say, guys, I need for 100 millions of your new processor with a precision of 2 nanometer. And the guys are going to tell you, well, we're not sure we're going to be able, in fact, to deliver for one reason, is that we have about 6 days of supply for GLN that is going to help us generating electricity. Wow. So that means that the electronic industry is going to be hit. But not only. Look, if you want to extract the mineral to make your processors, what do you need? Diesel. You go to Australia right now, they are constrained on the supply diesel point of view. But the caterpillar that allows, in fact, the exploitation of the mines there, it's not drinking water. It's drinking diesel. So basically, at a point in time, if you go to the point you cannot get your energy, you cannot get the mineral, you put the people on hold, economical layoff, and so on. You cannot provide customers, in fact, the mineral that has been bought market with contract, future contract. What's happening to the future contract after that? It's going to be climbing up. So basically, you look at every segment of the industry. If you do not have energy, you cannot transport goods. You cannot provide services. We are hearing here in France, some people are saying, I'm not going to go to work because if I go to work, I am going to lose money. The nurse taking care of the old people saying, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it because this is out of my pocket. You see? So basically, we are facing here a major crisis and something that will be certainly way more dangerous than whatsoever we have been facing in 2008. And this will have a major effect on resolution of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The European Union, being constrained, have been deciding that in 2027, they will not use anymore Russian gas, Russian oil. How they are going to provide energy? They are going to buy it from United States to transport it across, in fact, the Atlantic Ocean. At which price? What they want to achieve here? They want, in fact, to ruin the population. They want to ruin the economy. We are dealing with a gang of idiots that have absolutely no clue of how an economy is running, because those people have never been working in their life. They don't know what is it, in fact, to create value, to source, in fact, your product, to position your product on the market, and so on. They have no idea how much it costs to develop a business, And this will be certainly the reason for which the European Union is going to collapse completely. Today, what we're observing between the European Union and Donald Trump is a fight, no fight. I explain. They want to be supportive, but not too much. Because on an ideological point of view, they want him to fail. And if they want him to fail, this is because it doesn't match the way that they are handling the internal policy defined within the European Union. But this will have consequences. If Trump is getting crushed between the midterm, what are the consequences out of it? The Dems are going to take over. And they will push the European Union, in fact, to go against Russia. And why not? To trigger a much bigger conflict when they do not have the infrastructure necessary on the army point of view. They don't have the ammunitions. Their warehouses are completely empty. But you never know what can happen, in the back end of the story. You don't know what they are preparing. If they are pushing away from the different meetings that are strategic for the security of European Union, Orban and Fico, this is because they don't want them to know what is cooking in the pot. So I do believe that Donald Trump has been putting the finger where he should not have been putting it. This is gigantic, and he is going to pay a dear price. How can he stop this conflict? He has no leverage. Absolutely no leverage. And if the Houthis are putting together the same mechanism in the strait that allows accessing the Red Sea, you can imagine what kind of impact this will have on our economy. Because then they will have to turn around the entire Africa. This is about 12,000 kilometers, which is linked to energy consumptions and therefore to inflation. So we are on the brinks of a major economic collapse. And at this point, I'm just wondering if it is not organized on purpose to this matter.
And, yes, I have one question. I was hoping maybe you can answer relating to this, what you said about Russian oil, because there's the Druzhba. I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Druzhba.
The Druzhba oil pipe. So what is the current situation with that pipeline? Because I think Hungary wants to use the oil from Russia, but are they able to access it?
Well, they don't have the choice. How many sources of oil Hungary can have? Druzhba, and that's it. So basically, Zelensky is blackmailing Orban, saying, you are not going to get the Russian oil. I am looking it up. I'm not going to repair it because you don't want to give me the $90 billion that the,
Yes.
the European Union, they are promising me. But listen to the rhetoric. If this guy wants 90 billion euro, one, this is a part for his administration, but a part to the conflict, but a part for his pocket with his friends. Because don't forget that this is like free money for him. And nobody will be reimbursing the amount of money that is detrimental to our well-being in Europe. And unfortunately, and this is the reason why I'm so angry against the European population, they have been fooled since the beginning of this story. Because, and I know pertinently who has been organizing this major brawling in Ukraine, which is a shame because on a cultural point of view, if you look at the links between Russia and Ukraine, you will understand that this is like a family story. How many men from Russia are married with Ukrainian women and vice versa? It's enormous. So basically, this has been becoming a family problem. On top of it, with this nationalism extraction out of the bottom of the story that has been popping up, which does not make any sense because those guys, they call themselves patriots. For me, a patriot is somebody that has the capacity to create value, to create job, to help people, not to kill all his neighbor. Because if you kill somebody in the Donbass, perhaps you are killing your mother or your sister or your brother. You don't know. What is this story about? This is just cruelty, and only debile can do this. Only debile. So, to come back to the story of Ukraine, and especially with the story of the energy, there is a big tension between different dissidents within the European Union that have been understanding at which point this is becoming dangerous. Because if Zelensky gets back up again by the United States because Trump is getting kicked out, we are heading a major worldwide conflict. You see? So basically, what they are trying to do, little by little, is to gain time. The European Union don't want to help Trump. They are showing that they are kind of supportive, but not too much, because there is a public opinion in the back end of this story. But they are dying to see him collapsing, period. You see? Now, there are some, some other consequences. Because, and this is a theory that I've been developing because I did a lot of thinking. And what if we are watching the finger and we are not watching the moon? You see what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. Trump is right now telling all the monarchy, guys, you need to help me out. But the monarchies in the Gulf, they have a problem, is their ethnic, their demographic. Lots of them are constituted of Shiites. And if they are moving against the Shiite in Iran, they might be triggering like civil war. Let's look at it now on a financial point of view. And what if Trump is pushing Iran to destroy all those infrastructure within those countries on purpose? Who will be winning at the end? United States. This is the calculation they can make. They can say the population that are living under subsidiary in those countries, they will not have them anymore. Because if you go to Qatar, for example, each couple is receiving $80,000 every year without working. This is the fruit of the oil and gas sales. Suddenly you cut off, in fact, the facet. No more money, no more food. What's happening? You get a revolution because your own population is going to run after you. So imagining that this is happening all across, in fact, the Gulf. And most of the monarchies falling on the ground. United States coming back and saying, oh, we are going to help you to develop democracy. But if we are helping you to develop the democracy, we will help you also on a financial point of view to rebuild all the infrastructure, but we are going to manage them. And here we go. We have one guy living 10,000 kilometers from the place, and they will have the control of the two biggest sources of oil in the world. They will be controlling completely the worldwide economy. It's a scenario, it's an hypothesis. But this is holding. Because what Trump has been doing in Venezuela, this is exactly that. He's trying to put control on its capacity to project United States in the future in regard of the oil supply. But I can imagine what would be the reaction of China. China has a major interest that the Iranians, they are getting protected. And they don't want Trump, in fact, to have a monopolistic approach of the region in regard of the control of energy source. This can bring us into, through proxies that Iran would be representing, a very serious conflict. And of course, Russia will be backing up. This is how a major global conflict is erupting. You have the Houthis try to go in the room. Now, this weekend we have been hearing that Uganda want to go and to dance within the room, but for Israel. We have been hearing Erdogan a few hours ago saying that if United States is using the Kurd within Iraq against its own interests, he will go at war against the United States. So you can see that there is a sort of convergence of divergent interest that can bring us into a gigantic disaster. The financial, that is in fact certainly the big reason out of it, that would allow, due to the control of every resources, energy resources, in fact, to restructure the US debt. It can be done differently by reassessing the value of gold. If suddenly the gold goes from 5,000, 4,400 today to 8,000, you have 100% collateral in supplement, in fact, to continue to sustain your debt. You see? So basically, we are sitting on a barrel of TNT right now. Everybody is smoking cigar. The first one that is dropping the cigar, this is the end of the story. Trump is saying, I want to take the control of the Hormuz Strait. How? How can he do this?
It's impossible in my view.
Its armada is about 900 knots from the place. You want to bring your guys on the ground? How are you going to do this? Most of the military base in the region owned by the United States have been destroyed. And actually, the casualties are very, very serious. Very, very serious. It's hidden to the public. But at the moment this is going to pop up, I don't know what are going to be the reaction of the public opinion in the United States. Trump tried to put a tempo on top of the problem, but little by little people are just reacting in regard of their own situation. They're like, whoa, yesterday I went to the gas station, I've been filling my tank for $80, and today I'm paying $130. But I need to do that 5 times a month. So basically, this is $50 times 5, $250 that goes away. And my salary is not like a rubber, you know. If you pull on it, it's not going to move. So basically, this is an explosive situation on a geopolitical point of view, as much as on the internal point of view for every country. Look at Bangladesh. No gas. No gas, but no fertilizer. No fertilizer, no food. And if you're creating a major contention, allowing people to be able to eat, then you might have a lot of problem in the future. And the future is the day after. Because a population that is starving, you cannot hold it into one room. It's exploding to your face. So we are sitting and we are just observing the things. The Europeans, they are complaining about the oil price. Well, how come the government is not doing anything and this and that? No, guys. And it's not about vote right now. It is about you go in the street and you kick this guy out of office. There is no other possibility than that. Because not only they have been pushing the world to the brinks of this situation by lack of diplomacy, especially in regard of Russia, lack of dialogue, lack of intelligence, lack of understanding how an economy is running. And we are living incompetent people and dangerous people that are paid, in fact, to destroy our way of living.
So how close are we to real disruptions in the supply chains in Europe? I don't mean just price increases, but actual shortages of, for example, oil.
France has a serious reserve that would allow about another 3 weeks. Germany
it's not that much. 3 weeks is not very much.
As you said, it's not that much. Germany is about around the same. But in regard of the fact that we have been witnessing a major deindustrialization, the needs in energy is much lower. And they have been providing certain number of mechanisms, especially in France, because we have like hydroelectricity. So the need is not so much. But this is, you know, it's not very much like the story of a reserve, because the reserve at the moment the price is rising because you want the people, in fact, to slow down on their activities in the way that you preserve, in fact, the reserve as much as necessary. But at a point in time, after 2 to 3 weeks, when it's over, it's over. And then what do you do?
Well, we get oil from Norway, and I think from some African countries we can still access oil. Is it enough?
At which price? Because your customers, they are able to pay a certain amount of money in regard, because this is called budget. If your budget is exploding, you need to deprive yourself on certain sector of your project, of your budget. Sorry. If you look at the French population today, we are 48% of the population that is struggling to close the month. Some, they are making credit to buy the food. When you go to the point, you are making a credit to buy the grocery stores items, you have a serious problem. And, you know, if you have 5 to 6% of the population that start to say, now enough is enough, 6% out of 67 million people, this is a lot of people in the street. Are you going to contain them? I don't think so. So basically, the world is becoming a sort of a big pot boiling. And who knows when the pot is going to explode? Because with Donald Trump, that is high in color, the way that Vladimir Putin is qualifying him, kind of unpredictable. And we have been seeing, in fact, the different declaration that he has been making during the weekend, which is completely nuts. At the beginning, he's saying,
I can't keep up. I can't keep up with what Trump is saying because he constantly changes what he's saying.
Yeah, but on top of it, insulting the people on the chessboard, worldwide chessboard, that might have some consequences. You say the king of Saudi Arabia, you need to kiss my ass. I am not sure that he is going to really like it.
Yes.
And then after that, he said, oh, the Iranian, they have been proposing me to become the Ayatollah. Wow. Bro, what have you been smoking yesterday night?
I haven't heard that one before.
This one, extraordinary. I listened at the beginning. I said, "Oh, this is an hoax. This is an AI video." La la la. No, on TV, on TV, the guy saying, "Oh, wow, they want me to be the Ayatollah." Time out, my friend. Stop, please. And
yeah, some people even think he might be in some kind of mental decline. Do you think he has some kind of mental problem, or is he on drugs, or why is he doing this?
Destabilization. He wanted people to be destabilized, but he don't realize that he's decredibilizing himself. This morning he was saying, oh, the Iranian, they have been offering me 20 oil tanker. Whoa, are you sure, my friend? Are you sure about what you're saying? Because it seems to me that you are disconnected of the fact, the reality. Perhaps he has a beginning of Alzheimer and he's imagining things. Who knows? But this cannot last forever like that, because it has very serious consequences. Imagine Ben Salman is saying, now go screw yourself, and I am going to deal with the Iranian, and we are going to set up a new platform for security in the region, and we don't want you to be part of it. Actually, that might be the solution. That might be the solution. You see? Okay, let's discuss all together, guys. Let's organize our own security. Let's push out on the side United States that are just prowling everywhere for the last 50 years. And we will put together the stability mechanism for ourselves, because we don't need to have like a disorder the way that it's happening. He want to go on the ground. Does he realize the mess this would be triggering? Remember what has been happening in Ukraine at the beginning of the conflict. There was an island in the Black Sea called the Snake Island. They were the Ukrainians occupying it. They got wiped out with drones. Then the Russians, they went on the island. They got wiped out. And then the Ukrainians come back and they got wiped out. And then both parties have been understanding that on an island, wow, there is no tree. It's limited. You don't have anywhere to hide yourself. So basically you become like a target. It's like in this kind of sort of park, they are throwing out the goose, and you just have, in fact, to shoot as soon as they come out of the cage, It's exactly the same thing.
So what do you expect? Sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
What do you expect to happen over the next 3 to 6 months in Europe, and what should people in Europe be watching for? How do we survive? What is going to happen? It's very difficult to understand, for me at least.
Well, the catalyst of the economic crisis is whatsoever is happening in Iran. This is for sure. There is absolutely no doubt. But if there was no crisis in Iran, everybody will be focusing on what is happening in the private equity in the United States. Because this bubble, when it's going to be exploding because of artificial intelligence, it is going to be ugly, but really, really ugly. I'm gonna tell you a small story that happens to me in October 2007. I was in Monaco. I was invited by the former chief technology officer of IBM, who has been reconverting into business. And he was asking me to come and to help him, in fact, to organize a financial event in which I've been attending, big profile. I'm not going to give you a name, but there was like number 2 at UBS and so on. So you can imagine. We were on the yacht. It's called the Sayram yacht. It's a gigantic yacht, 55-meter, high luxury, unbelievable. So we were discussing different matters on the economical point of view and this and that. At a point in time, Mark is looking at everybody and ask them a question. They say, gentlemen, would you buy the stock of your own company? And there was a silence at this moment. It was like an embarrassment. Nobody was speaking. Everybody was watching their shoes and avoiding, in fact, to cross the sight of each other. At this moment, I understood that what was cooking in the pot was really, really serious. 2008, March, boom, boom. Subprime explode, Lehman Brothers, Merrill Lynch, all those guys gone. Today, and this is the discussion we had at the beginning of the talk, I told you KKR, Apollo, BlackRock, Blackstone, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, UBS, Barclays, First Brand, Tricolor, Blue Hole have been locking, in fact, the redemptions procedure for 3 years. If you're telling me 6 months, I can understand you have few difficulties, but this is like nothing. If you're telling me during 3 years, you're not going to be able, in fact, to get your money back for other types of investment, it means you are in a major difficulties. And this story is going to explode. It's going to explode at a level that nobody saw before. So, see what's happening on the market right now. You know, you have like some movement, and this is what happens in 2008, actually. In March, April, the stock market has been plunging. And then during the summertime, it has been rebounding. And the capitulation happened during October, November 2008, and the final capitulation happened in October, November 2009. So basically, this kind of crises are coming by steps. And today, what we are observing is the information that is pushing at the surface. You know, people start to realize that there is a problem until the moment of insolvency of the banks. Because as soon as much as this energy crisis is going to slow down the economy, what would be happening? Layoffs. And layoffs is, in fact, the event that allows you to understand, in consequences, what will be following. Layoffs, what does it mean? less commercial real estate in rental. And if you look at most of the building right now, you will see that the rate of unoccupancy has been rising to 20%. At 12%, you start to have a serious problem, because the businesses of real estate in the United States is particular. The rate applying to the credit is readjusted every year. It's not like in Europe. You buy an asset, you reimburse every year, every month, a certain lump sum, because of the rental that is in fact financing your operation. But your rate is fixed. In the United States, it's different. Every year they recalculate the rate. And they were hoping that this rate will be going down. It's not. It's exactly the opposite. And on top of it, the central banks now, they are thinking, whoa, we are going to face major inflation, when in fact they are pushing to increase the problem. We are going to face what we call an inflation on top of an economical crisis. What needs to be done right now is to inflate the rates, because if you maintain them at this level, well, central bankers, they are thinking that if they keep the interest rate at a higher level, they will stop, in fact, the consumption. But it's not the case, because people, they cannot, due to the price of energy. So basically, people are constrained, they don't consume, and you are falling into stagflation, meaning high inflation with no business. Where do you go like that? You go in the drain. In 2008, it was different, because immediately the Fed has been interfering and dropped the rate. They have been injecting massive amount of money. And now, how they are going to do that? There were about 23 trillion in debt in 2008, and now it's almost 40 trillion. So they almost double in what? In 18 years.
17.
Yeah.
18 years.
Say 17 years, they have been doubling the debt. Wow. This is not small money. So basically, now we are in a configuration that whatsoever you are going to do, you are going to destroy something. There is absolutely no solution. You cannot renegotiate your debt. You cannot finance it. Your economy is on the ground. People cannot consume. And on top of it, the price of energy is such that you are going to sclerose completely the supply chain on the worldwide point of view. Where do we go? I do believe that we are in the same configuration of 2008. And the big boys on the stock market, they are waiting for the opportunity to flush out the market and to make sure that Trump will be responsible for this gigantic economical crisis. And he will pay on the political point of view in the way that the Dems are going to take over again. And certainly also to make sure that the Epstein story is going to disappear from their background. You see, if the population are not retaking their future, retaking their history, this is it. Yes. This is it. And they're pushing for depopulation. A guy like Bill Gates would be like in ecstasy in front of a worldwide conflict, because he will be sitting in his gigantic mansion on an island in remote and looking at all this big mess happening with 2 to 3 billion people dying. This is his dream. You see, yes. This is his dream. And if you look at the 7,000 biggest fortune in the world, and if you dig into their lives, you will see that most of them, they have been building properties with bunkers in Hawaii, in New Zealand, and so on.
Mm-hmm. So do you see any possibility that the war would end fast? Or is this just going to escalate continuously?
You know, a world war like that is not going to happen over time. Oh, okay, we have a coalition here, we have a coalition here, and let's brawl all together. Don't forget, Europe do not want to fight for Trump. They want to fight against Trump because he tried to solve the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. You see? But depending on the different events that are going to unfold, there might be some shift. So basically, that could be like a multiple conflict that at a point in time will be converging into a major one. And who knows how this can end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was in the office of Minister of Vladimir Putin, and he said, you know, we have absolutely no confidence, zero. And those people, they are serious, you know, they don't talk here and there. Look, MBS is going to kiss my ass. Iran is offering me like 20 oil tankers and so on. No, they don't talk. They are professional people. Very tight on diplomacy in the way that they handle the relationship with people. They are very polite. They try to be structured in the way that they present themselves to the world. And when this kind of individual is telling you, we do not have any confidence, it means we are ready. So basically, if those people in front of us are making a mistake, we will crush them. It's serious. It's a very serious problem. And this, we are in this position today because we have irresponsible people that are managing our countries. They are rookies. Look the way they behave. You go on TV, you listen to them, you're like, my God, have you been to school one time in your life?
Yes, absolutely.
They are managing also their own interests. Look at Merz. It's coming out of BlackRock. What does it mean? He's going to manage his own interest because he still have a lot of stock option within this country. You take a guy like this with conflict of interest that is very serious because BlackRock is a kind of company that is messing around all over the world. And you take a leader like this, in fact, to lead your country, don't you think that he is going to represent an oligarchy and the interest of people that does not correspond to the interests of your own population, but the intellectual level of the people in Europe as becoming so low and people are so stupid that they do not understand this principle. It is like, for me, it's a disaster. Well, you know, when I look at my last 20 years, when I came back from Ukraine in 2015, I was trying to explain within economic forum, within all my connection, that Ukraine would be a major problem in the future. But nobody was caring about it. Nobody, and I was handling a relationship with very high-profile people. The former chancellor of Austria, Mr. Busek, was understanding me. He was seeing what was going on, but the political landfill in Austria has been shifting to ecologists, the green guys, you know. And look what has been happening to this country. They have been losing $9 to $10 billion a year in trading because of the destroyed ties they had with Russia, a country of 9 million people, use 10 billion assets. This is a disaster. No,
Yes.
ideology. We need, in fact, to make sure that Ukraine is going to be part of European Union. And they're hiding what is the problem of Ukraine. They are hiding that the ideology of Maidan is antinomic and 180 degree from the value that they are bragging about. Oh, multiculturalism. Go to Kiev. Go to Kiev. If you are a black guy, you will see if you are going to be integrated. I had a friend of mine. He was a footballer. His name was Titi. He was coming from Africa, and he was playing for Dynamo Kiev. No club in Kiev were accepting him. He was not allowed to go inside the club. There was just like a Caribbean club with only black people that were going there. That was the only place he could be going because they're racist. And then you have Van der Leyen saying, oh, Ukraine is representing our value. They are protecting us from the Russian bear. Wow. I go to Moscow. I never had any problem. People don't care. The last time I was in Kiev, the SBU has been sending me private sector to make me zipping it. Trust me, that day, I thought that was it. I was gone. And this is a country I have been giving 10 years of my life, building job, giving job to people, helping in social projects. You know, when you see the way it has been drifting and what this country has been becoming, you're like, guys, when are you going to awake? When are you going to awake? You would have been neutral and being a pivot between the two world CIS countries and the European Union. My God, this country would have been making loads of money. Now they are making loads of money. No, they are robbing loads of money because they just have, in fact, to plunge their hands in the candy jar detrimentally to us. And this is not acceptable anymore.
Sounds a lot like Finland, actually, in my view.
Yeah.
They've done the exact same mistake. And they are. I don't know if you've heard about the drone attacks lately in St. Petersburg. And
yeah, I heard the story.
The situation is also escalating in the Gulf of Finland, I'm afraid.
Well, you know, it's up to Finnish people to digest their history. They have like a very bad history within collaboration with Nazis against the Russian. They need, in fact, to take some distance out of what they have been doing. Since they have been cutting off the ties on an economical point of view with Russia, what is their business about? They have nothing to propose. Zero.
Exactly.
Zero. What can you do? You're going to sell your vodka to who? Who is going to vacation in your country? You think I'm going to go to Finland? I don't want to freeze. Well, yes. I've been there for a speed skiing competition because I was member of the national speed ski team in my country. But I didn't go there very often. I was in Ulfaret. You see, when I take this, at my age, I take distance out of all those facts. And I see that in an ineluctable manner, we are just like in a train at 200 kilometers. There is a wall, and nobody is saying, whoa, let's cut off, in fact, electricity. We are all going to die. No, it continues. Yes, unfortunately, you know, to understand such a broad problem, because this is not very simple, you need to have look at the cultural aspect of relationship. You need to look at the economical aspect, the financial relationship between entities, their geopolitical agenda, their needs on an economical point of view, and also their will, in fact, to make sure that the things are going the right way. When I hear, for example, the European Union people saying, oh, look, Vladimir Putin is terrible, he's going to destroy everything, how come this guy can speak to every leader in Africa? Why he is respected there? Why you can speak to Xi Jinping like a friend? Why you can handle a relationship with everybody? That means that he has the capacity to speak with other people and to see like a common background and to see if they can work out the something. This is exactly what Chirac was saying regarding diplomacy. You need, in fact, to come halfway in the way that you see how you can leverage your opportunity and to leverage the capacity to do business and to protect the interest of each party. You see, it's not I win, you lose. This is America. I win, you lose. It cannot work that way. And actually, you know, the consciousness of a great amount of population now, I would say 25, 30%, 35%, especially with this crisis, people start to realize, because Trump is just like an exacerbation of what is the American policy. You can put Obama, he's very polite, but he will do exactly the same thing, but he will like wrap up whatever his policy has been defined for with nice word, nice politeness, and so on. But at the end of the story, he's going to look at his own interest, not yours. You see? And this is something that population needs to integrate. And integrate the faster as possible, because we are confronted to the wall of a disaster.
Yes.
This is pretty much what I would have to say regarding the situation, which is like not really bright, actually. Not really bright.
Okay, so thank you for visiting again on this channel, and I hope to see you soon.
I wish to. Actually, I will have to travel a lot for geopolitics, and I will tell you what would be my next adventure very soon. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.